So next step is going to be to rotoscope my hands. This is probably going to take some time, but that's definitely worth it. So now we have all the parts, all the area want to add something. Let's first, so we have the track here, boom, we're going to add some stuff around the SD cards here. Yes, nice. Pick the SD card up, zoom. It's going to pop out that window. Then we're going to choose the folder. Maybe the background is going to open something up. And then we're choosing the right picks. Nice, cool. And now let's duplicate that base clip. Bring it all the way to the top and name it rotoscope hands. Let's bring up the trackers because we can delete that motion tracker from here. We don't need it. And we start rotoscoping my hand from here. Maybe we need to split hands. Let's see how the tracker performs, or if we can do both hands in one rotoscope. So let's use the rotobrush tool, get the resolution to full, and double click into that window. And now let's select the hand here, here. Maybe not the best frame to do the first selection. So let's move a little more forward. Now let's select that. I think that's a better frame to start. Boom. Yeah, with the brush you can now just select your hands or whatever you want to rotoscope. Let's make sure everything is selected. Here it gets a little bit fucked up because it's a darker area and it's not clear for the program to separate it, but now it's looking good. Yeah, we're going to do both hands separately. This is just going to be the right hand, and for the left hand we're doing a separate track. Okay, so this is the right hand. We have a lot going on, so we can cut this actually. So we're going to make different parts for the hands, so it's not too confusing for the tracker. Let's check that right hand first. Yes, that's looking good. Now we can cut this part here, and yeah, we can delete this one. And that's the first track we have. The first rotoscope. Here's a bit laggy at the bottom. Let's fix that quickly. So make sure everything is correct. You can change the brush size by pressing Command and going up and down with your mouse. This is looking good. Nice. Okay, we got the first hand. Let's freeze this one. That 71 frames. Nice. So we're going to do that selections, that tracking, that rotoscoping, really precise, because that's going to be the difference between the creators. They take time and they do like it really in detail, and the creators that just do weird rotoscoping, and so it's not going to look good at the end. Now we're taking our time. We take that hour just to prepare everything, and with that clean setup, we can just create cool animations. We have more fun with a better result, and we probably faster, because if you do just everything randomly, so first trying to track something, get the visuals in, then let's do some rotoscoping, no, let's do the track again, things get really confused. You confuse yourself, you have different layers, you don't know what step you add. So having that clean structure and that steps make the process more enjoyable. You get, as I said, higher results, and yeah, it's just clean. Nice. Okay, we have that separated. Let's move on. We call this one first right hand. Nice. Let's duplicate our original clip again, and we can delete that motion tracker track point 1 again. And now we are going to do probably the left hand, because the left hand coming in here, I think. Yes, here. I think the left hand stays in for the whole time, so the right hand comes back in again. So we have to do another track for the right hand, but left hand stays for the whole time. But let's duplicate that clip and call this one second right hand, and this one first left hand. Nice, and let's drag the left hand on top, increase the resolution to full, and let's rotoscope again. So now we are doing the left hand here, but actually we can start here later in the frame. So rotoscope is going to track backwards, which might cause a better result, hopefully. Boom, let's have the hand here. It should be an easy track because it's like really contrasty, really clean. And we also want to cut out the SD card. Let's go. Has some problems to track the SD card. Hopefully we're not going to see that too bad. Yeah, especially the corners here. Alright guys, I'm done with the rotoscoping and I thought I'm just going to time-lapse you this process because there's nothing new. It was just about getting all the details and cleaning the selection. But in this process, I had to realize that the SD card wasn't really clean rotoscope. There was like no option for a clean cutout of the SD card. So since the SD card is really straight lined, the rotoscope were always doing like weird round edges and stuff like that. So this is going to be for sure a problem. So what I did instead for the whole rotoscope, I think 280 frames, created an extra mask for the SD card. So let's have a look here. I actually created the extra mask just selecting the hand mask tool here, the pen tool with G, and I roughly draw the mask around the SD card. And I just thought, what if we could track this mask? So if you draw a mask around something, you can right click that mask and select track mask. And then it should open this window here. Another method of tracking. I think in this tutorial, you learn all the different kinds of tracking, which is awesome, I think. And yeah, so I actually tried it. I have to say, usually the trackhead does not work for me at all. And here it just ran through every single frame and it tracked everything correctly. I'm so impressed. I don't know what Adobe did there, if they, I don't know, like increased the power, the accuracy. But guys, this is 100% like I just had to click play and it tracked the SD card, the mask through the whole process. So awesome. I have a nice selection now of the mask. Everything is clean. We have everything prepared. And because we separately created that mask, I came up with an idea. Because we have that mask, we can do much more with it. So my idea was to actually create a new solid with Command Y and call this one Saber or SD card Saber. Boom. And now we are going to copy the mask here, this one, with all the keyframes, not all of them, here to that solid we've just created. Yes, let's check if that is correct. Oh no, I think the keyframes are slightly wrong. So let's drag them here. Yes, I think that's looking way better. Yeah, now it's correct. So now, since we have the mask and we have the saber here, we can do a pretty cool thing. We can actually apply the saber effect by Video Copilot. And if you don't know what it's Saber, it's an plugin for free, 100% free by Video Copilot. Just Google it, Saber tool by Video Copilot, and here it's like, we're going to use this one a lot in the tutorials because I love that effect. And yeah, here you can just download it for Windows or Apple, install it, and yeah, get back here and apply it to the solid with the mask. And now it's going to look like that. So let's go to customize core and choose layer mask. Boom! Now our SD card has a glow, which is amazing. And now we can go into render settings and choose the composited settings from black to transparent. Nice. And now we can customize the core here. You have different presets for all the effects, but I'm looking for something really clean. I think the default is actually not too bad. Maybe neon white. I don't want too much going on. And since we have also separated the hand, I rotoscoped the hand, right? We can just drag that saber below our hand, but still above the SD card. Yes, something like that. That is correct, I think. But let's decrease the saber glow. So it's like kind of just outlining it slightly. Yes, that's pretty cool. I think that's nice. Let's play it back, how that looks. So we have a glowy SD card, guys. I love that. That's pretty nice. And I actually don't want it to be continuously there. I think it's cool if we kind of animating the offset. I'm going to show you what I mean in a second. So in here, we can edit the end offset. So just click on the stopwatch here. You create a keyframe. Let's start from end offset 0, going all the way to 100. And I would like to go back to 0 again, but let's ease the keyframes like that. And how about copying the keyframe one more time? Boom. And now we have that wavy going on, like something like that. But it's going the other direction back. So actually what we need to do now is we're going up here. And here we are animating the start offset as well, and going from 0 to 100. Yes. And with these two, we are going to create a nice animation around the SD card. I think this idea was not too bad. 1 to 100, please. Yes, something like that. Nice. And now we can repeat that. So let's try to actually make a cut, and let's move the keyframes here. So yeah, that's going to work. I think there's some other methods how you can make that work, but yeah, I'm going to do cuts here. With Command Shift and D, actually, I'm going to do the cuts. Yes, I'm copying that again and paste it on here. Or you can just move these ones. Boom. And then one more cut, I think, and then we are good. Like that, Command Shift D. Open up the settings with view and dragging them back. Nice. Okay. That may look a little bit confusing now, but it's actually not too hard. If you get used to it, you get a lot of layers. But yeah, I think there's also an easier way, but this was the fastest now. Maybe I'm coming up with a better idea later on. But for now, I want to keep this idea to have that card kind of circled or like outlined. And I think that's adding a cool touch. It's a good start with animating. I think that's pretty cool. Nice. All right. So now we can actually move that in a comp. So we can just call this one SD card saber. Yes. So we have everything in one comp and there's not much going on. Nice. Let's see what we have. So now we are done with all the preparation stuff. We directly applied our first idea of creating these outlines for the SD card, which looks pretty cool. And now we can come up with our story with everything we want to create. So first of all, I want to select both cards here. Maybe make them like pop when I select them. So with the track here, I might do the same and outlining them when I tap on them. This could look cool. So let's see here. Let's move the grid a little bit up. We know it's good in position, so let's move it a little bit up. But also it could look cool to have like a distortion wave going from there. Like I'm selecting something. So let's try to create a distortion wave and make this one glow. So I'm actually creating a new shape. So I'm choosing here up here the ellipse tool, and I'm actually doing a new composition. I'm 1080 by 1080. Call this one number 1 circle. Okay, new folder, call this one comps, and getting in that circle. Okay, now with holding shift, I'm drawing a circle, and we can center it here with the align. Let's also center that anchor point. Yes, and I want to have a stroke with full color, and I want it to be white. Let's increase the size. Yes, that's good. And I want to add the fast box blur and increase it so it's like kind of unsharp. Yes. And also maybe a glow effect, either the normal glow, which you can use here, or I'm using the optical glow, and increase it by 10 and 10. Something like that. That's looking good. And let's go back into the main comp, and we are dragging in here the, let's sort this for 1 second. Yes, like that. And the circle into our main comp. Nice. And let's make it a 3D object and kind of place it where I'm tapping. In here, let's, well, I think I'm using the same blur glow effect like you do. If you don't have a giant, yes, that's cool. Let's go back into our main comp, place it here, and now we can parent it to our table tracker up here. Nice. Cool. And now it's tracked at that position, which is pretty cool. And let's scale it down to 0. Yes. And keyframe it. And when I tap it, here I tap it. We want it to have it at 0. And then slowly, or like not slowly, but more like fast, pop up. Like it's like we selected it and it's causing a distortion wave. Let's select these keyframes and let's open up the speed graph here and smooth the keyframes. Oh well, we can actually like make it bigger. What if we have like that, something like that? That's too big. And we can make it a little bit slower. And we can also make it disappear with the opacity to fade out at max size at 0. So let's create these keyframes and let's also smooth it. Boom. Boom. I'm not 100% happy with that. So I'm thinking about what could we do? Break. All right, I'm thinking about also masking the SD cards here so we can create some outlines. So I just played around with it and the track is actually working. So I just mask out the second SD card here as well, which I'm going also to do for the right one. So I'm copying that one, the clip here, and call this one write SD card. Yes, now we can bring up the mask with M. I'm deleting the existing one, and now I can show you, yeah, how apparently the track for the SD cards work pretty well. So roughly drawing around the SD card like that. And now just right click on that mask, choose track mask, and now the tracker window should open. And now we can go for position, scale, and rotation and track forward. And boom, you see, it's actually working. This is another method which could work for some scenarios, like here, doing a pretty good job. Stop it for a second with U. Pressing U, you bring up all the keyframes. And we keep tracking. Nice. So here we kind of lose the track because I'm picking up the card, which is not a problem. Let's cut the clip here. That's it. That's all we need. And let's go back to the first keyframe we created. And now we can track backwards here. So you have the track selected marks backward and forward. Now we track backwards as well. Nice. Okay, now it's losing the track, but that's fine because my hand is coming in. So here is the last frame, which has a good track. Boom. Nice, we're cutting that. So we know the duration. Okay, cool. For that mask, we can leave it like that for now. So let's also create a saber effect for that mask here. I feel like it could like pulse. Yes, similar to the one we just created before. So we can copy that saber here because I think the saber looks pretty good and bring it in our main comp here. Move it down. So bring it up here. And let's delete the existing mask and add the new mask. Boom. And we can add the left SD card mask, bring up the mask options, copy the mask with Command C and paste it on here. Nice. And now we can bring up the end offset to 100 and we should be able to see a nice glow around our mask, which is exactly what we want. We can actually drag that below our mask, so the SD card is kind of shiny, popping like that, which looks pretty cool, I think. Yes, this is nice. So I think with that, yeah, it looks way cooler from above. Like the card is really selected, you know, pretty cool. Let's do the same for the right SD card. Let's name them so we don't get confused. Left SD card saber, and this one we call right SD card saber. Make sure the length fits the mask length, and we can delete the existing mask here, bring up the mask options here again, go to the beginning of that solid, paste the mask, and here, nice, so we can see that mask. So let's bring that below the mask again. Yes, so don't get confused. Nice. Okay, cool. So that's pretty much what I was looking for. So now when I tap on it, it starts to pulse. So we can actually edit the opacity. So we simulate kind of pulse effect. So press T on that saber, and for the opacity, here we click on it, and here we need the second saber to come in. We can actually come in with a hard cut, so bam bam. We're like kind of selecting both. What we also could do is we can try the opacity. Maybe that looks better than a hard cut. Go from 0 to 100. Yes, I think that even is like just a small change. If we bring in the glow with a bit of opacity, keyframing, same here, but it just looks more natural, I think. Just move the keyframes, ease out on the first one, and ease in for the second one. And now maybe we can bring it back down to something like 20% or like even 0 and bring it back up to 100 and then back to 0 again here. So it's like nice. Or maybe we don't even need that, because I think it looks even cooler when they're like constantly glowing. But let's here go out with a smooth opacity keyframes as well. So from 100, go back to 0, ease out, and here you can ease in. Let's do the same for the left SD card. Smoothly going out with the glow. Ease out and ease in. Nice. Boom, boom. I think that's a pretty good starting point. Now we have the SD card kind of integrated into the footage. It feels like it's really selected.